Decades in Congress, Representative John Lewis worked alongside dozens of other civil rights activists who say his fight for justice paved the way for them to serve in Congress. Nancy Cordes spoke to two lawmakers, Congresswoman Terry Sewell and Congressman Hank Johnson, who are considering the best way to pay tribute to him.
John has sowed so many seeds.
Congresswoman Terry Sewell grew up in Selma, Alabama, hearing stories about John Lewis, never dreaming she would grow up to walk and work alongside him.
There was never a moment that if I was anywhere within earshot and he's talking about Selma, that he wouldn't say, "Come on up," or grab my hand. The fact that he would be willing to share his platform with me, always. And she's the one who's representing Selma today.
As a congressman, Lewis was a study in contrasts.
When you see something that is not right, not just, not fair, you have a moral obligation to say something, to do something.
On one hand, fiercely partisan, a champion for gay rights, gun safety, and immigration reform.
I will go to the borders. I get arrested again. You know, if necessary, I'm prepared to go to jail.
And yet for 17 terms, he seemed to transcend politics, forging bonds across the aisle, not unlike other late giants like John McCain, John Dingell, and Elijah Cummings.
He's going to treat you in a certain way that causes you to respond and live up to his expectation.
Congressman Hank Johnson represents the Georgia district next door to Lewis's.
When he really wanted to be emphatic about something, his voice, he would rise his voice and he would sound like, he would sound like God from heaven.
Do you think that's why he got the nickname, the Conscience of Congress?
That name was so appropriate because when John Lewis speaks, people listen.
We are still awaiting details of the memorial services being planned, including here in Washington, to honor the life of John Lewis. We do know that the Democratic Party of Georgia is intending to name a nominee to replace him on the ballot at 4 o'clock this afternoon. One of the things that always struck me about John Lewis, Anthony, was how lightly he wore his status as an icon. A couple of years ago, I was covering a political rally in Atlanta, and things were running late. The crowd was getting a little restless, and so he decided to stand up and entertain them all by getting down to Happy by Pharrell Williams. And as you can see, he really leaned into it for about 4 minutes. The crowd went completely wild, and I should point out that he was 78 years old when I shot that video on my iPhone.
Yeah, I love that video. I saw you posted it, Nancy. It's really wonderful. It goes along with his crowd surfing at the Stephen Colbert Show, both great moments. Thanks, Nancy. Turning now to the worst